good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell everybody who you are.
My name is Albert, the owner of Albert's Petite Sweets. You can see myself at AlbertsPetiteSweats.com. Today we'll be making some cake pops.
All right. I like cake pops.
So, ready to rock? Good afternoon, guys, or good morning. My name is Albert. Again, welcome to Albert's Petite Sweets and Baker's Bodega. And today we'll be doing some, I'm going to do a demonstration on how to make a cake pop. But before we get started, I want to give you a bit of a small brief history of where I come from. I've been a trainer for about 15 years, left the business and followed my passion with chocolate making. I was in Starbucks one day and I saw cake pops. I'm thinking, well, I can do that. 10 hours later, I hated it. It was the most labor-intensive project I've ever done in my life, you know, but I made so many people happy. I started to just do more with it, and then now it has evolved into my current full-time business today. You know, so today I want to go and share with you, you know, how to make a cake pop, you know, from start to finish. So let's go ahead and begin. Basically, when you first start, you want to get a nice melter. You can get like a Wilton melter. You want to put it in warm or on melt for now, and then when you put in the chocolate, you want to let it sit there for about 10 to 15 minutes. And you want to stir it occasionally, because with chocolate likes agitation. Okay, they don't want to sit there too much. So once you let it sit there,
Just saw myself on the screen.
right here, right? You want to go ahead and use a spatula, and you want to go ahead and just kind of like stir it around. Again, chocolate likes agitation, so irritate them, agitate them, okay? And so right now, as you can see with this chocolate, it's a bit on the thicker side, okay? One way to check if it's thick or smooth, if I'm pulling it out, it's not really dripping off my spatula, right? You want it to drizzle down into a smooth, liquidy texture. So one way to correct it is adding Paramount crystals. It's like a shortening, I believe. And so from there, it smoothens out the chocolate. And just put on a little bit, because a little goes a long way. So it's Paramount crystals, little flakes, just like so, right? And then I'm just gonna add a tiny bit on top, okay? And then from there, you wanna go ahead and work it in, okay? So again, chocolate with agitation. You wanna scrape the sides and just continue stirring. Sometimes you might be making more than one cake pop at a time, and you might have several chocolate melters, you know, running at the same time. You want to make sure, like every, you know, so many minutes, you pay attention and you stir it, because if you don't, it'll coagulate, it'll get firm, and then it'll be solid, almost like a very thick pudding. And you don't want to work with thick pudding. Okay, so now it's a little bit better, sliding off a little bit more. It needs a little bit more Paramount crystals. Okay, so now it's smoothing out. You can tell. Just add a tiny bit more. Okay, so it's really like water. Okay, so from here, now it's better. It's flowing nice and smooth. So when you make a cake pop, you know, basically it's a combination of cake and icing together, and you have to have the right consistency so that it's very fudge-like, or when you make a ball or a shape out of it and you press down with it, the edges does not crack, okay? So that's one way to know if your cake pop's the right consistency, is that when you mix your cake and icing, there's a certain cake to icing ratio, and that will vary depending on your cake. Like for example, I have a flavor, apple pumpkin spice. I will literally just use just, you know, a quarter of a cup for an entire cake. But let's say, for example, for a vanilla cake, I would have to use a cup and a half of icing and mix it in thoroughly so it has a nice fudge-like texture. So pay attention. There's not a cookie cutter routine to where it's always a half a cup of icing and always one cake that you'll bake and pulverize and mix together. It's never the same. So you have to kind of play with it. But a really good determinant to know if it's the right ratio, after you make a ball or shape out of it and you squish it down, the edges should not crack. It should be nice and still formed, but it should not stick with your hand. So if you press it down like this and you lift your hand up and it's all over your hand, now there's too much icing. It's going to be like kind of mucky. You don't want it to be mucky, right? So what I've done earlier on is I've already made a cake pop, and most cake pop artists, they tend to have a ball-shaped cake pop. For me, I like to do a puck, just to be a little bit different. So after I stab in the puck, when you get a stick, you want to stab in the stick about 50% in to 3/4 in. A lot of times people just stab it in. You want to make sure you know how far to stab it in. Because if you don't, if it's too shallow, the minute you start tapping off the excess, your cake pop will break off and fall into the chocolate. Now we have more of a bigger mess. Okay? So then now typically they'll say when you put in your cake pop, in the refrigerator, it's about 10 minutes. If it all depends on the temperature of your refrigerator, right? Or your freezer. But once you take it out, you want to make sure you let it sit for a good 3 to 5 minutes. Why? When you put something in the freezer, it's expanding. A lot of people ask me, how do you make your cake pops look so perfect? There's no cracks. You want to make sure after you pull it out of the freezer or refrigerator, you don't immediately dip it in to your chocolate, because it's still expanding, it's still contracting. So when you dip into the chocolate, it will crack, and then now you have a cracked cake pop. Let it sit out and kind of stabilize in temperature. Okay. So now, once the cake pop stick is inside, right, about 50% to 3/4 in, right, this part will solidify. Okay. So now this creates a base to the base of the cake pop. So it's supporting the cake puck or cake pop. Now the dipping technique. Now this is where it really counts. You have a nice, smooth, consistent chocolate now. It's flowing like water. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be the fun part. When you dip it in, sometimes you see people just throw it in there and spin it. All depends on your cake density. All depends on your chocolate. There's many variables. But one variable is your cake pop puck or cake pop will get soft in time. So if you spin it, you're going to spin and peel off the stick off the cake pop. So the minute you lift up, your cake pop ball is inside the chocolate. So the dipping technique is typically not good. To me, since I use a puck version, when you spin it, it'll create an air pocket. So you're tapping out the cake pop even more. The more tapping you do, the more room for error. So you want to do less work, less time. Okay? So for me, what I like to do is a dragging technique. From here, I will drag the cake pop towards me. So basically, chocolate is flowing into the cake pop, and then almost like waves. It's going to go into the cake pop and then pull out. Pull it in, and then it'll flow and cover the cake pop with less movements. You want to tap it out too in a certain way, but let me explain how you dip it. So from here, right, people tend to do this. This is not a very good technique in my opinion. You want to drag it. 1, 2, 3. Done. 3 strokes, you're done. Again, it's 1 towards me, 2, 3. Okay, I'll do another time. Ready? I'll drag it in. 1, 2, 3, and it's now covered. Now, when you're tapping the excess chocolate off, the farther you are, the more vibrations. The more vibrations, the more likely your cake pop will break. So you want to stay close to the base of the cake pop, holding it like this in a 45-degree angle. By doing this, you're tapping off the excess. And the cake pop the excess chocolate is dribbling into one stream, not multiple streams. You'll know if you're doing it wrong if you do this. Now it's doing multiple streams. So if you turn it over, it's a hot mess. You don't want to do that. Okay? So again, I'm going to do this, right? In a slight angle. I'm by the base. I'm tapping off the excess. Now we have a cake pop and smooth. Okay? So we have to move quick. Okay? You can get these toppers or chocolate, or you can make your own chocolate mold out of using stencils. You can use silicone, you can use trays, and they all sell here at Baker's Bodega Express. So you put in your chocolate, but already pre-made ahead of time, right? You want to go ahead and slap it on until it dries. And quickly, you want to make sure that the cake pop gets filled with sprinkles or whatever topping you want as soon as possible. So now the thing might shift, and that's okay. Okay? So then now we have a nice solid piece. Okay? I don't know if you notice now my cake pop is kind of dipping to the side because it's been out for quite some time, right? So it's going to get soft. So then now people tend to stab it on a tray. I don't like that technique. What I like to do, I just let it sit. Because the focal point's the front, not the back. And then we'll let it sit. Okay, while this is drying, I'm going to explain to you how to properly decorate it to make it even more elaborate, more elegant, and just give it a bit of a extra luster and sheen. So here's a bigger bodega. I buy almost everything that I use for my business at the store. So they have it from, they have this, my favorite, it's called Demons. So Demons, it's a pearl dust, food grade, and basically it's like a little, it adds a bit of shimmer to your product. Okay, and then from there, I like to use a little bit of a brush. It's kind of funny how I learned how to use brushing. I was watching my sister put on her makeup. That's how I learned. I'm like, oh, there's many kinds of brushes for different techniques. Like, wow, how do you, it's a fan shape? What is that for? And so I learned. So Albert, you gotta go to Sephora. I'm like, Sephora is expensive for chocolate. So you wanna shop around, Baker Bodega has it all, okay? So basically it's a bit of luster dust. So I want to make my cake pop to look like this. This is my version, right? This is, I can't pull it out because it's still drying, okay? So there's some things on it, kind of brushing it off. What you want to go ahead and do, let's say for example, you have your own chocolate piece or fondant that you made using a mold, okay? You can go ahead and just tap a little bit, right? And just color it. Okay, so just keep in mind there's going to be white dust flying all over the place. Okay, your nose, your face, everywhere. It's going to fly everywhere. Just keep that one in mind. So just be mindful of that. So then now, as you can see, it's a bit more white than before, but now it looks matted. Okay, it doesn't have a nice, luster sheen to it like a model or a plastic or something kind of perfect. I'm a perfectionist when I do my artistry with cake pops. So what I then use is PME spray. PME spray is, I think it's imported from England. It's a bit kind of expensive, but it's really worth it. And you want to do a quick spritz, a quick spray of it, and let it dry. And after doing so, it would give a nice coating to your chocolate. Here's the best part. Aside from making this look picture perfect, it actually preserves your chocolate. Sometimes you make chocolate and at certain temperatures it starts to look kind of like not matted, or it looks like it's older, or it doesn't look as shiny, especially when you add colors to it. I tend to use Americolor. You want to get oil-based, not water-based, because water-based would coagulate your chocolate. Chocolate and water are not friends. They're not friends. Okay, and so you want to make sure that you want to get an oil-based Americolor to color any of your chocolates to whatever color you want. Okay, so now I'm going to do a quick spray. Done. As you can see now, it's already shiny, right? You let it air dry. And then before it dries, you put a little spits of, let's say, some edible sprinkles or edible more dust or some glitter, make sure that it's edible, right? And then you let it dry. So then, as you can see, it's shiny. Yeah. Oh, sure, no problem. It's nice and shiny now, right? So after I painted it, and I could do another coating, and then, yeah, it's actually called PME Clear Edible Glaze Spray. Okay, so I get this thing again here at this store. So then now, my cake pop.
Is that just for chocolate?
It could be for anything. It could be for cupcakes, chocolate, fondant. I use it for chocolates and fondant. So then it will give it a nice luster. As you can see now too, the greens are also a lot richer too. It'll be a lot more vibrant. Okay, and so then now I picked up a cake pop. I'm ready to go ahead and decorate my cake pop even more to the next level. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of brush off the excess, right? And then spray it off some more if I want to. And you let it dry. And at the end, you have a nice edible piece, right? So again, check out the products here at Baker's Bodega. From their chocolate, their Paramount crystals, which is amazing. It makes your chocolate a lot smoother than what you typically have. Their Damon's luster dust or pearl dust, their brushes, their toppers, their molds, the sticks. I basically get it anywhere. Get it here. At the end, these are some of my more complex designs. I actually make gift packages for my business, and you can see my stuff at AlbertsPetiteSweats.com or on Instagram at AlbertsPetiteSweats. We're doing some more collaborative work together, so hopefully you'll be seeing stuff here soon. but I also designed some package lines that you can actually put in a cake pop in, and they can get really elaborate. You know, completely made in the States, completely 100% recyclable, so I'm not making a mess in this world, and completely food grade. And everything's completely customizable, from the sticker, the ribbon, the background, everything. So it really makes it personal for any occasion. You know, so check out Baker's Bodega Express, you know, for ingredients, supplies, and if you want to see more of my work, you can check out my work at AlbertsPetiteSweats.com or on Instagram at AlbertsPetiteSweats. Again, before I go, any questions or for me?
Are
Yeah.
you using candy melts?
Yeah, so for this one right here, it's compound or candy melts. You know, so you put it in the microwave, usually about 20 to 30 seconds in medium temperature, and after that one, you stir after every round. Okay, you don't want to do 30 seconds and then you put it back in for 30 seconds without stirring it. So again, chocolates likes agitation; they like to get irritated. So let the temperature of the bowl kind of heat it up. Well, I'll use the Wilton one, right? You just put it in, it kind of melts. But again, sometimes be mindful. Some of these machines may be a bit warmer than others, right? And so you want to make sure you use the Paramount crystals to just stabilize the texture. Because then dipping and then extraction will be a lot easier in regards of, you know, just putting it in a bowl. Any other questions?
Are these chocolate?
Yeah, it's all chocolate and cake pops inside. So I made all the molds ahead of time, and then after that, I want to make the puck just like I created. I stabbed it in, and after that one from there, you know, you then get this piece where you're just gonna open it up, and then from there you peel it out. The cool thing about this package too, the maximum weight is it handles about 4 ounces. So it's about the size of your palm. Okay.
Did you spray that?
I sprayed it too with edible with a glaze. And you saw it's kind of shiny, right? The PME, it's amazing. So I use it all the time.
How do you make your pucks?
How to make my pucks? I actually use cookie cutters for now, but I'll have other ways to streamline it. But I roll it out in a cookie tray, and then from this it has to be a certain gauge of cookie trays, and then from there, once it's firm, then I puck it out. I don't like this technique. That drives me nuts.
Neither do I.
No. This is what I do.
I
Not
mean,
this.
mine look like eggs.
Because like sometimes I get a lot of orders and they say, oh, we want like 1,000 and 1,000 times of this. Oh no. You go to Starbucks for that. I'm not Starbucks. Okay. So any other questions? Guys, again, thank you so much for your time. Till next time.
Okay, we're gonna take a break and then we're gonna get back to afternoon, everybody. My name is Pepsy Garcia. I do the demos here at Baker's Bodega Express, and today we have an additional guest, super special. He's a dear friend of mine, helps me out a lot. Aaron from Arkon Mounts. Come on. Here, Aaron.
How y'all doing today? Great. Excellent. We're so happy we could give you guys one of those headrest mounts of ours. It's a car seat headrest mount that will hold your bags. It's just one of the many mounts that we make, actually. We've been in business for 30 years, and we make mounts, holders, tripods, stands for your phones, for your tablets. And this is very important for the bakers, obviously. When you're doing a baking demonstration, just like Albert was just doing a few minutes ago, you want to be able to film what's going on the surface of the table here. Why do you want to do this? Because you can actually connect with people all around the world and let them know that you're an amazing baker, right? You just made the best cake pop ever. And you want everybody to know about it, right? You don't want to just keep it to yourself. You can send them my way. I love them. But you want to be able to share them with the world. There's some great tools for you to be able to do that. In particular, for the baking community, they're all on Instagram. Instagram, you can also go live on. And then also on Facebook. Facebook is, in my opinion, the most powerful tool that you can use if you have a baking business to promote your baking brand. The way that you do it is you join some of those groups that are related to baking. Let's say that on your own page on Facebook, maybe you only have 300 people who have liked your page, but you want to reach a lot more people. You go in these groups that are related to baking. There's some that are called like cake decorating. Maybe they have 50,000 people, 100,000 people. If you try to join those groups and they accept you into those groups, as soon as you've been accepted into those groups, you can go live from those groups. So instead of going live to the 500 people on your page, you're going live to potentially 50,000, 100,000. It's a great way for you to share what you're doing out there, especially if you're trying to sell a product. If you have some cake pops or cookies locally or whatever it might be, do it in these groups on Facebook that are related to baking, and you're going to see that you're going to be able to really boost up your exposure out there. Let's talk about a few of the solutions that we have, and all these solutions will be available here at Baker's Bodega Express beginning next week. The top seller is the Pro Stand. This is our most versatile phone stand that we have. It's height adjustable. In this position here, we're at 17 inches tall, but we're going to move it up to 29 inches tall, and you see it has these different extensions on it. Watch what happens when I loosen these up a little bit, and your phone would be in the holder here, the universal phone holder. It grips it nice and tight, so you can be in the completely overhead view as you could have this above the mixing bowl. People love to see this kind of stuff. Anything that has some motion, like a mixing bowl, or if you're rolling out the dough, whatever it might be, people want to see this. And those pages on Instagram in particular that are related to baking, many of them are our friends, and they have 100,000 or more followers. We have some of our friends in the baking community have over 1 million followers. Pepsy and I know a friend, her name's Angelica Garcia, and when she posts a video, many of her most recent videos have got more than 1 million views of just a little baking demonstration, which she makes with our stand and a quick app, and she's able to put out a video, and she gets more than 1 million views on Instagram. So let's show you how this works. These knobs basically right here allow you to adjust it any direction you want. There's swivel balls on here, right? So you can go wherever you want. And now in place. Oh, there goes.
There went my iPod.
And so once you find the position that you actually want to be in, you just tighten down the knobs, and you set it in place. You have your phone in it like this. Let me see your phone that you had.
It's my iPod.
Is it live or no?
Yeah, it is live.
It is live? All right.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's tight? Okay. We're going to put Pepsi's audience in here like this. So you have your phone. You want to make sure, here's the camera. You want to make sure that the camera is out towards this side so you can actually see down here, and so you're not getting the base into the picture. See, if it was over here, maybe you have the base in the photo here. So you want to make sure that it goes out this side so that you can see what you're filming down here. Again, you would go live on Facebook. Let's say our phone is in the holder here on Facebook. Now the problem is, all of a sudden, I can't see the comments that are coming in that live broadcast. I want to be able to see the comments that are coming in because we have an amazing community, and they always say, "Hi, Aaron," and I say hi back to them usually. So I want to be able to see those comments, and that's why this little fold-up stand is so great. It's a tablet stand, and it's a universal tablet stand. It actually can fit in your pocket like this. But our cake artists, sugar artists, the ones who are doing demonstrations, what they do is they set this up. Who's got the iPad? We got an iPad over here. Oh, so you even put it on my page. I'm getting shocked in here. So you'll be able to see the comments as you're working here. This is the perfect setup. The Pro stand with the little fold-up tablet stand, and you're able to follow along as you're doing a live broadcast on Facebook. Now, when you are live and you're looking at the comments on Facebook, because I've logged into my same broadcast, there's going to be a delay of about 10 seconds. It's not identical to the movements in your hand. Let's see, I was showing something like this. You would see those movements about 10 seconds later on. So you just get used to it a little bit, and at least you're able to say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" Or whoever else it might be that's watching your broadcast. It's a great way to promote your business, your brand, or even if you just do it as a hobby, just share with the world something that you're really proud of that you've made, this new creation, and you want everybody to see. Go to Instagram, go to Facebook. Let's show one more item. We introduced this at the LA Cookie Con earlier this year, which is a selfie ring light, we call it. And it has 3 different settings on it. You push the button on the back. And why do you need a light? Well, you want to be able to make sure that you have good lighting. So even if you were just holding your phone there as you're doing what you're doing, you could have it. So, and it's not blocking the camera at all. It's open in this space here. Got those 3 different
Ya, ¿para qué
settings.
más? Ya con estos dos también.
Dimmer switch on it as well.
called again?
This is the selfie ring light.
Selfie.
And if you're older than 40, it's a must. It hides a lot. All right, Malia? And then also, like, this is my daughter over here. She's 19 years old. She's like a concert freak. So she'll take this, and inside the concerts in the dark, she's able to come out in the pictures rather than look like a ghost.
Okay.
So, okay. I'm not sure what this was called. It's the stand. I have mine. I put mine away because there's so many going on. Yeah, it's in the catalog. Baker's Bodega is going to have them here starting next week, correct?
Yeah.
So starting next week, they're going to have them here, and you can just purchase them. What? Oh, okay. Sorry. If you guys you've been here to other demos, you've been here to demos, you see that we always have all these stands. We have tripods at home. I have a whole set. I haven't recorded much, but I am starting to upload a lot on YouTube, and I use my tripod, my mount, and my little stand for my little tablets. I could read comments and so on. Okay, if you have any questions. And then we got this as a gift, which is super cool. I might have to wrap it up and give it to my daughter for Christmas because she has a car. She knows all her gifts, trust me. Santa doesn't exist anymore at our house. Okay, so this is, again, the cake pops that Aaron made. The snowflake, it's the Wilton package. I don't think he mentioned it. It was the Wilton package, the little sugar crystals, or sugar, what have you. And then the tree also was the Wilton set. Another way of doing that is also you can cut them out of fondant with the plungers, let them dry, get them hard, dust them with the little duster dust, and then spray them with the PME. Fabulous. And then just make sure you do the fondants before you do the cake pops, okay? So again, with this Wilton little melting pot that's here, you do have to consistently keep stirring it so it doesn't burn, just like Albert. Too many A's. I swear. You have to keep stirring it so that it doesn't burn or just get stubborn on a certain way. You do not want to add too many Paramount crystals. Once you do add too much, it's hard to fix it. And when your chocolate hardens or what have you, you will lose all the gloss, all the shininess. It'll be very matte, unless that's what you want, but you don't want that. Okay? So I'm just going to do a quick Oreo treat. Just so that I do something today. Okay. So they sell these molds here. They're plain, which is really cool if you want to decorate them to a certain season. Christmas is coming. Then we have Valentine's Day, Easter, what have you. So you could do anything you wish with one of these. Or they also have some that are already with the little picture in the front. So in the Christmas aisle, they have them with snowmans and reindeers and what have you, okay? So I'm just gonna do the clear one so I could put one of these Christmas trees on top. And have you done these? Okay, ideally is a refrigerator nearby, but today we're not gonna have that. Now, what I like to do, now I don't know if this is the right way, this is just my way. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna dump a little in here, tap it, and what I like to do is with the clean brush, I like to brush the chocolate up to the sides so that you don't see the Oreo on the side after you press it in. I started doing this after I noticed that I could always see the Oreo on the side and it was just irritating me. I don't have OCD like Albert does, but I am kind of picky when it does come to certain things, okay? So it's already coated on all sides. Push the Oreo in, not too much, just so that it grabs a hold of the chocolate. There you go. I have to take my chain off. And then we're gonna apply a little bit more chocolate.
What are you making?
We're gonna make a chocolate covered Oreo Christmas theme.
Are these the same cookies that you made for me?
For you, I did a Dias de los Muertos Oreos.
Those were really
Yes,
tasty.
and those I painted with poppy paint.
Those were good.
So, there, just tap it so that the air bubbles can come out, and then just place it in the refrigerator. Refrigerator, not freezer, okay? You don't want to shock the chocolate with the freezer. So with the refrigerator, you're just gonna easily, smoothly refrigerate the chocolate. And once you'll know it's done when you see a nice fog underneath here and it cracks a little. You'll just be able to tap the chocolate and it'll come right back out. Can you go put this in the refrigerator out there on a flat? Okay. So that is the Oreo. It's gonna take a good 15 minutes to be in the refrigerator. And then we're gonna move on to some pretzels. You could do these. The pretzels are like, actually treats are like cakes. There's no limit. Okay, you could coat them. You could put the Oreo on a stick in between here. Just dip it. I'm not gonna do that only because I don't want to dirty the chocolate right now. Okay, but you can do that, sprinkle it. There's no limit, just like cake. Okay, so with the pretzels, now if you are doing a sweets table, you're doing everything. Rice Krispie treats, Oreos, what else? Cake pops, everything. The pretzel should always be the last thing you coat, okay? Oh, good question. The salt will fall into the chocolate. And then when you want to pipe or sprinkle something with in the piping bag, your chocolate, it's going to clunk up because the salt clogs your holes, right? Okay. What I have done, because just like you, everybody has a beginning. So when I started doing treats, I clogged my bags. So what I started doing is sifting my chocolate, then doing the but I found like it was just too much washing, too much work. Too much. And us bakers, we like not too much. Fast, want to go to bed by midnight, hopefully, and what have you. So pretzels, last thing you do, okay? Now, what I like to do is tilt my pot sideways just so that I get a deeper, more chocolate in there. Dip my chocolate, and just like Albert said, you don't want to tap it too much. This chocolate's already getting a little stiff, but I'll tap it inside for a little bit, just so that the top starts sliding down, and then I'll just wiggle it a little. And parchment paper with chocolate is your best friend. You don't want to use, I have a producer over here. You don't want to use saran wrap, no foil, parchment paper, okay? There we go. And just lay it flat. That makes sense, everybody? Okay. So right now that the chocolate is still wet, you can decorate it. Well, I'm going to use these sprinkles that our instructor from Baker's Bodega Express had in her stash over here. So just sprinkle them however you like. You want more, you want less, you want nothing. Producer Malia. Okay. So, like so. let it dry. Okay, good 15 minutes or so. I'm more than positive the Oreo is not going to be done. Another thing that you can do, if I didn't lose it, is...
You looking for this treat?
No, I'm looking for the Rice Krispie treats. I think we lost them. I'm being called.
Oh, were you going to use those?
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So you can buy this big block or whatever, huge Rice Krispie treat. You could cut shapes out, or you can buy the already shape. You can make your own. It's up to you. And if you make your own, you can use the method that Albert does with the cake pops. I don't know if you guys understood that. Did you guys, who asked the question? You? How do you? What he was saying is, he rolls out his dough in the cookie sheet. So when the rolling pin is level, parallel to the sheet, that's how thick his cake pops are. Then he cuts them. Did you understand that? I felt like somebody was lost, especially her. So you could do the same thing with the Rice Krispie treats. Roll them out to this thickness so that when your rolling pin is literally sliding on the sides, everything is even, everything is parallel, and you could just cut out straight crispy treats. Okay, those pans are baker's best friend. You can buy them everywhere. They have them here? What? The pans? Yeah. They have them here. Okay, so you could just take this guy off. It's going to be really hard. You want really strong cookie cutters. The copper ones would be ideal, but they're more pricier, and we are on a baker's budget, so we don't want. You're just going to push down, and Albert would be really good right here because he is strong and I'm not. I'm going to push it all the way in. I'm sorry, what? Producer Malia. So it's pretty much in there. I want to cut it. I can't find a knife. So I'm going to use a offset brush. Use pizza cutter? I don't like pizza cutters. Pizza cutters are not my friend. They're my Freddy Krueger. Okay, so just push all the way down. This is intense flavor. Albert. Okay, so now we want to take the cookie cutter out.
And there's a little trick for that. You can use some water.
You can, but she wasn't here 5 minutes ago.
Some water. And then you can cut your Rice Krispie like get the water out. Yeah.
On the cookie cutter?
Oh, on the cookie cutter.
Yes.
Is that you dip it in the water?
Yeah, you just dip it in water and then you can
Okay.
whatever shape.
She wasn't here 5 minutes ago. So then you have your shape. Okay, Valentine's Day, hearts, Easter, the bunnies. Then you could drizzle them, you could dip them in the chocolate, what have you. Okay. Ay. Gorda, can you check the Oreo? The Oreo. Now, piping bags. Disposable piping bags are our best friends. Why? We don't have to sit there and wash them. 2, they're convenient. 3, we don't care for them. So all I'm going to do is just pour some chocolate so I can show you how the tip should look. Okay. Just like a cake, the treat should be delicate. Okay. I always think sexy. Okay. Sexy is something nice, elegant, not thick and sloppy, right? No, it needs more. It's still too glossy, okay? So I'm gonna just put a little bit just to show you guys. Okay. I just put a little bit. You don't want to put too much in the piping bag. You want to only put maybe about this much. You fill up the piping bag all the way to the top. You lose control of life right there. Oh, my friend's coming. Okay. So even when you're making flowers, you only want in the piping bag enough to make one flower. Okay? So on the tip, okay, producer Millie is going to get mad at me. You only want to cut the minimal, just so that the chocolate can glide out. Very, very little. You want the drizzle to be very, very, where'd it go? I lost it. This is when it ends up in somebody's treat. And then they get a prize.